After their first contact with the Galactic Council, humans surprised everyone. The Council expected them to be loud and demanding. Instead, Earth agreed to wait, watch, and learn. Humans sent scientists and explorers to space. They joined the Council with respect and followed every rule. Many in the galaxy were thankful. Others were curious. A few were quietly afraid. Human history was not unknown. Their past was full of strong decisions, fast inventions, and sudden changes. No species had moved so quickly from learning to flying among the stars. Still, humans were patient. They didn't ask for new planets. They didn't build war fleets. They followed every law the Council made. 100 years passed this way. Young Officer Rin sat inside a listening room on Earth's largest orbital station. The station floated quietly above the blue planet, always watching, always ready. Rin's job was simple. He listened to the signals moving through Council space. Most days were quiet. The signals were boring, full of trade reports or research updates. Rin didn't mind. He liked quiet work. He liked knowing he was part of something bigger. Earth had many stations now, but this one, called Horizon Watch, was special. It was the first one built after joining the Council. Some said it had listened to the very first alien voice. On this day, Rin drank warm tea from a metal cup. He yawned. The screen in front of him showed the usual green lines. The communication waves looked the same as always. Nothing strange. Nothing new. Then the green line blinked. The screen turned red for 1 second. Rin dropped his cup. It clanged to the floor, but he didn't notice. A message flashed on the screen. It was short, cold, final. Sole emergency code. Unprovoked aggression. Earth colony Helios 3 destroyed. No survivors. Rin stared at the words. He read them again. Then again. His hand started moving fast across the control board. He sent the signal to Central Command. His voice was calm, but his heart raced. Emergency alert. Confirming report from Deep Space Relay. Colony Helios 3 is gone. The command center went silent. Every officer turned toward the main screen. The name Helios 3 glowed in red letters. Helios 3 was one of Earth's oldest colonies. A peaceful world built on the edge of a yellow star. It had farms, homes, schools. Families lived there. Children were born there. No soldiers. No weapons. Just life. It was supposed to be safe. Within minutes, Earth's leaders were awake and online. Across the planet, people saw the news. No pictures were shown. Only a message. The name of the colony. The word lost. In the halls of the United Earth Assembly, voices rose. Who attacked it? Where were the warning systems? Why didn't the Council stop this? The Council had rules. All member species were to protect colonies, especially those in peaceful zones. Earth had followed every rule. They had warned about possible risks near the Varnak sector, but the Council said the Varnak would not act. The Varnak were large, proud, and bold. They lived by ancient codes. They believed strength brought order. Most of the time they followed Council law, but they often tested the line. Earth had tried to speak with them many times. Sometimes it worked. Sometimes it didn't. Now there were no talks, only silence. The council sent a message 3 hours later. It said the event was a misunderstanding. The Varnak claimed Earth's colony had crossed a border. That border had not been shown on any map before. The Varnak said they fired by accident. The council asked Earth to stay calm. They promised to begin an investigation. Back on Earth, people stood in city squares waiting for answers. News screens stayed on all day. Children asked their parents why a whole colony had vanished. Nobody knew what to say. In a quiet room beneath Earth's surface, the president of Earth sat with the high command. No cameras, no press, only trusted leaders. She looked at each one of them. No one spoke. The president pressed a button on the table. A small light turned green. "Is the recording off?" she asked. "It is," said General Toma. The president leaned forward. "We warned them. We followed every rule. We trusted the council. And still, our people are gone." She paused. Her voice was calm, but heavy. "They thought we would hold back." Again. The generals nodded. Earth had built powerful fleets long ago, not for war, but for defense. Most of those ships were hidden in deep orbit, or kept in silent mode. The council believed Earth had disarmed. That was not fully true. Earth had held back because it wanted peace. It had waited. It had trusted. But now, everything was different. The president stood. No more waiting. No more warnings. Quiet the cameras. Wake the fleets. The room remained still for a moment. Then General Toma stood. "Yes, President." Across the solar system, hidden stations came to life. Silent ships powered on. Pilots received coded messages. Engineers opened old storage bays filled with sleeping machines. The news still told the people to be calm. The council asked for peace. But deep in space, something had changed. Humanity had spent 100 years learning the galaxy's ways. They had been patient. They had listened. But now, they would speak. The stars above Earth remained quiet. But not for long. The stars above Earth were still bright, but something had changed. The message from the council arrived just before sunrise. It was formal and polite. The council offered words of regret. They said they were sorry for the loss of Helios 3. They said the Varnak would be asked to explain. A team would be sent to review the event. The council asked Earth to stay calm, to wait, and to trust the process. The people of Earth read the message. They watched the officials on screen with cold eyes. Some cried. Some stayed silent. But no one was surprised. They had seen this before. 100 years ago, during the early years of contact, Earth had asked for help when one of its science ships went missing near the Varnak border. The council promised to investigate. Nothing came of it. 5 years later, Earth requested protection for 2 new colonies. The council delayed the vote for 6 months. One colony was attacked by pirates. The council said it was unfortunate, but not their fault. This time, it was different. Helios 3 was not just a colony. It was a symbol. It had no military ships, no defense system. It was built under council supervision. The coordinates had been shared with every member species. It was listed as a peaceful development zone. Everyone knew that. And still, it was gone. In a high-level chamber deep under the United Earth Assembly Building, Earth's most trusted leaders sat together. The walls were covered with maps of nearby sectors. A screen showed images from the last known transmissions from Helios 3. Green hills, white buildings, children playing under the soft light of a golden sun. Now all that remained was silence. Admiral Neon stood at the center of the room. He was a calm man, not quick to speak. He had served Earth for over 50 years. He had helped build the early space fleets. He believed in peace. But today, his voice was firm. This was not an accident. The Varnak tested us. They wanted to see if we would act. They saw our silence as weakness. The others in the room listened. Some nodded. Some looked down at the table. President Allen sat at the far end. She was quiet, thinking. She had spoken to the council just hours earlier. Their voices were careful. Their words were smooth. They asked Earth to wait again. She had said thank you and ended the call. Now she spoke. "This is the last time," she said. "We warned them before. We held back. We trusted them. That time is over." She turned to General Toma. "Activate the Black Directive." There was a pause. Toma looked at her. "Are you sure?" She nodded. "Yes. No more hesitation. Let the stars know we remember Helios 3. Across the solar system, quiet places came alive. On the dark side of Earth's moon, hidden doors opened on smooth gray hills. Inside, long ships sat in silence, covered in dust. Lights blinked, engines hummed. One by one, the ships began to rise. In the deep oceans of Europa, human colonies switched communication codes. Encrypted signals moved through the water and up to silent satellites. From there, they reached Earth's defense network. The Black Directive was not well known. Most people believed it was a myth. It was said to be a secret plan built after Earth joined the Council. A plan to protect humanity if the galaxy ever turned against them. Now it was real. Massive cruisers, built in secret, began to leave orbit. They made no sound, no lights. They disappeared behind cloaking shields, leaving only empty space behind. Every pilot had trained for this. Every engineer knew what the signal meant. There were no speeches, no questions, only movement. Back on Earth, people noticed the quiet skies. Some looked up at night and saw fewer lights. Some ships no longer appeared on public charts, but no one said anything. They knew something had changed. In a classroom in New Mumbai, a teacher showed her students a picture of Helios 3. She spoke of peace. She spoke of unity. Then she paused. The children were silent. A small boy raised his hand. "Will they do it? Again?" he asked. The teacher looked at the photo. She smiled gently. "No, not again." In the Varnak sector, leaders received reports of strange signals near their border. Automated satellites showed shapes moving through empty space. Large shapes. They had no identification codes, no known design, but they moved with purpose. The Varnak General Council met in secret. Some wanted to send more ships. Some believed Earth would still remain quiet. After all, the humans had waited this long. But one elder, named Koril, shook his head. "They warned us once," he said. "They won't warn us again." In the halls of the Galactic Council, other species watched with concern. Some sent messages to Earth, asking for talks. Others sent messages to the Varnak, asking them to explain their actions. The council asked for peace, but the wind had shifted. Everyone could feel it. Earth was no longer asking for a seat at the table. They were standing, they were ready, and they were moving. At the edge of Sol space, Earth's flagship, Unity 1, left its dock for the first time in years. It was a symbol of hope, but also of power. Built with the combined knowledge of 3 generations, it carried no weapons on its surface, but its systems were unmatched. It was not a warship. It was something more. As it moved past, Jupiter, a small drone, followed behind. The drone sent a signal, simple and short. It said only one thing: "We are awake." Space was quiet, but something was moving. From the outside, everything looked normal. Earth still followed council laws. No open messages were sent. No public announcements were made. But deep inside the system, Earth was changing. The Black Directive was now active. Only a few people truly understood what it meant. It was more than a military plan. It was a signal to every hidden part of Earth's network. It told every station, every fleet, and every outpost that silence was over. In the dark corners of Mars, underground ports opened for the first time in decades. Giant metal doors slid apart, revealing long halls filled with ships. These were not normal transports. They were built for speed, for reach, and for protection. Each one carried advanced systems not shared with the Council. The designs were Earth-made, but inspired by everything humanity had learned in the last 100 years. They had watched. They had listened. Now, they were ready. On Titan, engineers stood on frozen ground, their faces lit by the soft light of control panels. Old machines came alive. Fuel lines connected. Engines hummed. Above them, a small ship lifted slowly, then disappeared into the sky. These launches were quiet. No one outside the inner network knew they were happening. Even the Council's sensors near Sol space picked up nothing. Earth had spent years preparing for this. They had studied stealth from every species. Then they had improved it. Back on Earth, people went on with their lives. Schools remained open. Markets stayed full. News stations spoke of peace, of council, talks, and of rebuilding. But behind the smiles, everyone knew something had changed. In a research base near the Arctic Circle, a team of scientists finished running the final check on a new AI system. It had no name, just a code, Sentinel-X. It was the first of a new kind. It could manage entire fleets, scan star systems, and make real-time decisions without needing human control. Dr. Nira, who led the team, watched as the system powered on. She had worked on it for 15 years. She had always hoped it would never be used. But after Helios 3, she understood. "I wish we didn't need this," she said to her assistant. "But we do," the assistant replied. In Earth orbit, something large moved behind the planet. A station called Scifi slowly shifted position. On the outside, it looked like an old weather platform. The Council had visited it once and found nothing special. But that had been part of the plan. Inside Scifi, there were command decks, drone bays, and data cores. It was a command station, one of 7 across the system. With the Black Directive active, it now had full control of over 100 cloaked units moving across space. One of those units, a long black ship called Whisper 9, had already reached the outer edge of the Varnak border. Its crew was small. 4 pilots, 2 engineers, and a quiet AI named Kira. Their mission was to watch, not attack. Not yet. They parked the ship near an empty moon and listened. The Varnak fleet was louder than expected. Dozens of ships moved near the old colony paths. They were not hiding. They didn't expect anyone to be this close. They spoke openly, their voices full of pride. They believed Helios 3 was a message, a warning, but Whisper 9 was also a message, and it was not alone. Across space, Earth's quiet fleets moved like shadows. Some ships sat behind old mining fields. Others floated near council relay towers. They never spoke. They only listened, scanned, and waited. The Black Directive was not about revenge. It was about readiness. The leaders of Earth knew that open war would hurt everyone, but they also knew that silence was not safety. The time for waiting had passed. President Allen stood in a glass room high above the Capitol. She watched the clouds move slowly over the city. Her office was quiet, no guards, no aides, just her and a single tablet. On it, she read the latest report from Skyvale: fleets in position, systems ready, AI control stable, no council detection. She closed the tablet and looked at the sky. The stars seemed closer now. In the council chambers, far away on a large ring-shaped station, the other species continued their meetings. The Varnak representative spoke with great energy. He said that the situation with Earth was being used to make his people look bad. He claimed that Helios 3 was not planned. He asked the council to ignore Earth's growing silence. Some council members agreed. They said Earth was emotional, that humans always reacted strongly, that they would return to calm soon. But not everyone believed that. The Alari, a wise and quiet species, shared a different view. Their representative stood and spoke softly. "Earth has changed," she said. "We warned this council 100 years ago. We said they would not remain silent forever. Now the silence is ending." No one responded. The council moved on to the next topic. Back in Sol space, Unity 1, Earth's flagship, had reached the outer system. It now stood near Pluto's orbit, just behind a cloud of debris that blocked most scanners. Inside the ship, Commander Ryle stood with his crew. His face was calm. His voice was steady. "We are not here to fire the first shot," he said, "but we are ready if others try." The crew nodded. They had trained for years. Some had grown up hearing stories of the council. Others had lost friends on Helios 3. None of them wanted war, but all of them believed in the right to stand. And so the ship waited. In every corner of the system, Earth's fleets, teams, and stations held their position. They did not shout. They did not flash. They simply watched. The galaxy had asked Earth to wait. And they had. Now Earth had moved, and the galaxy had not yet noticed, but it would soon. The moon. Geln 5 was quiet that morning. It was home to a large Varnak outpost. The outpost was built on the flat black surface of the moon. Towers rose high into the sky. Ships rested on landing pads. Inside the command center, Varnak officers, moved through their daily tasks. No alarms were ringing, no warnings were active. They believed they were safe. The outpost was placed far from any known threat. There were no enemy colonies nearby. The council had approved the site. It had been quiet for years. At exactly 0412 local time, everything changed. It began with a soft vibration. Then the lights inside the command center flickered. One of the officers looked up and opened a monitor. The screen was full of static. "What is that?" asked another. Before anyone could answer, the ground shook. Not from beneath, but from above. Something had entered the upper atmosphere. It moved fast, too fast for the outpost's defense system to respond. In the sky above, a black shape appeared. Long and smooth, no lights, no markings. It hovered for only 3 seconds. Then it released a pulse. The pulse was not loud. There was no fire, no sound. Just a wave of energy that spread over the outpost like a curtain of light. The towers, the ships, the control rooms, everything froze. Power shut down, screens went dark, systems failed. A second pulse followed. This one was stronger. The surface of the moon cracked slightly, but no explosions followed. The structures collapsed inward, not outward. Materials turned to dust. Metal faded like sand in the wind. From space, the outpost simply disappeared. There were no lives lost. The station had been evacuated just a day before due to routine rotation, but the message was clear: something had struck. The Varnak Military Council received the report 1 hour later. The data was strange. There were no signs of missiles. No known weapon caused this kind of reaction. The only thing left behind was a strange black box, floating just above the moon's surface. It gave off no signal. It did not speak. It only showed a glowing symbol, the symbol of Earth. The Varnak were shocked. Some were angry, others confused. They had not expected a direct action. They believed Earth would still wait for council approval. But this was not a warning. This was a demonstration. Back on Earth, the news of the strike was not shared with the public. Only a small group of leaders knew what had happened. The attack had been silent, planned carefully to avoid loss of life. It was not meant to destroy the Varnak, but to send a message. President Allen sat with her advisors in the early hours of the morning. The screen before her showed the final image taken from a drone above Zheln 5. It showed the outpost turning to dust, the black box floating alone. She did not smile. She did not speak for a full minute. Then she turned to Admiral Nyan. "Was it clean?" she asked. "Very clean," he replied. "No loss of life, no system trace. They will not be able to prove it was us, but they will know." "Good," she said. Then we moved to the next phase. Elsewhere in the galaxy, council members received quiet reports. The Alari, who had always watched Earth with calm eyes, sent a short message to their ambassador. Zheln 5 has vanished. The shape of the stars is changing. The council met in an emergency session. Tensions filled the chamber. The Varnak representative demanded answers. He accused Earth of using forbidden weapons. He asked the council to act, but there was no proof. The council asked Earth for a statement. Earth's ambassador, a middle-aged man named Brel, stood before the gathered species. He wore a gray suit. His face was calm. He spoke only one sentence. Earth has not declared war, but it has chosen not to be silent. Then he left. No questions. No replies. Across the galaxy, species that had once ignored Earth now paid attention. Some were afraid. Others were curious. A few were hopeful. Small civilizations that had suffered under council neglect began to whisper to each other. Maybe things were changing. In a quiet base near Saturn, Earth's signal ships prepared the next wave. They were not weapons. They were messages. They would enter systems quietly, land on moons, leave small data markers, and leave again. Each marker carried the same phrase. We remember Helios 3. We do not forget. Commander Ryle, still aboard. Unity 1 received updates every hour. He stood near the observation window, looking out at the stars. One of his officers approached. Sir, the outpost strike was a success. The signal markers are being deployed. Any council response? He asked. Not yet. They are watching, but not moving. Ryle nodded. They are waiting for us to speak louder. But we will not shout. We will act. His crew understood. They had trained for this. Earth was not starting a war. Earth was ending an era of silence. Later that night, in a small home near the coast of Pacifica City, a young girl sat with her grandfather. They looked at the stars. The news said nothing, but the girl had heard whispers in school. Grandpa, are we going to fight? She asked. The old man looked at her with kind eyes. No, but we are going to stop hiding. Is that good? Yes, he said. It is time. Far across space, the floating black box on Geln 5 continued to glow. It sent no signal. It made no sound. But every ship that passed by saw it, and every pilot who saw it remembered the same truth. Earth was no longer waiting. The stars had never seemed so watchful. Across countless systems, sensors picked up subtle changes. A flicker in communication lines, a shadow moving in the void. The galaxy was waking up to something new. On Earth, the mood was steady but determined. Life went on in the cities and towns. Children played under the sun. Markets bustled with familiar sounds. Yet beneath the surface, preparations were deep and wide. In the command hub beneath New Tokyo, Admiral Nyan studied the latest reports. His face was calm but serious. The Black Directive had moved past its first step. The silent strikes and signals were only the beginning. What is the status of the fleets near Varnak space? President Allen asked, standing beside him. Ships remain cloaked, Nyan replied. Recon drones report increased patrols. The Varnak are tense but cautious. Good. We don't want open conflict yet. Nyan nodded. Agreed. But we must. Be ready. The Council will not ignore this forever. Across the galaxy, news of the vanished outpost and the glowing black box spread quietly. Some species whispered in secret chambers. Others held urgent meetings. The Alari sent envoys to Earth, seeking answers. The Varnak demanded explanations, yet Earth's answer remained calm and clear. We have not declared war. The words hung in the air like a quiet storm. In a dark room aboard Unity 1, Commander Ryle prepared his crew for the next phase. His voice was steady as he addressed the officers. We will increase patrols along the border, he said. Our goal is clear. We show strength without aggression. We protect our people without provoking war. A young lieutenant raised a hand. What if they attack first? Ryle met his gaze. Then we will defend. But we will never be the first to strike. Outside the ship, the vast emptiness of space stretched beyond sight. A thin blue dot, Earth, seemed peaceful from afar. But the crews on these ships knew the truth. Earth had changed. In one of the hidden stations near Mars, an engineer named Lyra worked quietly on a new device. It was a communication tool designed to send messages that no one could block or trace. She had poured her life into this project. Lyra believed in peace, but she also believed in readiness. "Why do you do this?" asked a young assistant. "Because," Lyra said softly, "sometimes silence can be louder than words, and sometimes the quietest voice must be the strongest." Meanwhile, on a distant trading station near the outer rim, a small group of humans gathered in secret. They were traders, explorers, and scientists who had spent years watching the galaxy. They spoke in hushed tones about the rising tensions. One man named Kale spoke with quiet hope. "Humanity has waited long enough. Now it is time for others to listen." His friend Mira nodded. "But what if the galaxy fights back?" Kale smiled gently. "Then we show them why we were warned." Back on Earth, President Allen met with her advisors late into the night. The galaxy was watching. The council was divided. Some wanted to punish Earth. Others wanted to understand. The balance was fragile. Allen's voice was steady as she laid out her plan. "We will reach out," she said. "Not with weapons or threats, but with truth. We will remind the galaxy of who we are." Her advisors looked at her thoughtfully. "How?" one asked. "By showing them our strength. By proving we will not be ignored. By standing tall when others expect us to kneel." Across space, ships began moving silently. Not to attack, but to observe, to listen, to prepare. The Black Directive was more than a plan. It was a promise. In a quiet village on Earth's surface, an old man watched the stars with tired eyes. He had lived through the first contact, the promises, the betrayals. He knew the cost of silence. A child approached him. "Grandfather, what happens now?" He smiled gently. "Now we stop waiting. Now we remember." And the galaxy listened. Darkness stretched across space, but humanity's light was growing stronger. The silence that once ruled the stars had shifted into a new kind of quiet. It was the calm before a storm that no one could yet see. In Earth's deep command, center beneath the Andes, President Allen stood beside Admiral Nyan. The glowing map before them showed the latest movements near the Varnak border. Small ships slid through space, hidden from most scanners. "They watch us carefully," Allen said. "They know we are here. They feel the weight of our presence." Nyan nodded, "But they still hesitate to move against us." "Fear," she said softly. "They remember Helios 3. They remember what we can do. Beyond the borders of the known galaxy." The council gathered again. The chamber was filled with tension. Representatives from many worlds spoke loudly. The Varnak demanded Earth's immediate withdrawal. The Alari urged calm. Others feared open war. But the council had no power to force Earth's hand, because Earth had changed. On board the Unity 1, Commander Ryle prepared his crew for what might come next. The silence was heavy. Every officer knew the stakes. "Today, we increase our patrols," Ryle said. "We will push further into Varnak space. We will remind them that Earth is watching." His voice was steady. His eyes were sharp. No one doubted him. In a secret base beneath the Sahara Desert, Lyra finished the final tests on the communication device. The machine was small, but powerful. It could send encrypted messages faster than any council network. It was designed to reach out to hidden allies and warning signals. "This will change everything," Lyra said quietly to her assistant. "Do you think it will stop the war?" "Maybe not," she replied. "But it will give us a voice." Meanwhile, on a distant station near the Orion Belt, Kale and Mira watched the stars. They had become messengers between Earth and the scattered human colonies. Their small crew carried stories, technology, and hope. "Earth is not alone anymore," Kyle said. "Others are ready to stand." Mira nodded, "But some are still afraid." "Then we must show them courage." Back on Earth, citizens were unaware of the full danger. They lived normal lives. Yet, in every city and town, stories of bravery and resilience spread. The people were ready. In the quiet town of Vela, a young boy named Aaron stared at the night sky. His grandfather told him stories of the first contact. Aaron dreamed of stars and freedom. "Grandfather, will we fight?" Aaron asked. His grandfather smiled gently. "Not unless we must, but we will never hide again." As night deepened, Earth's ships moved silently. Cloaked in shadows, they crossed into the unknown. They did not attack. They observed. They learned. The Black Directive was a shield and a sword. It was patience and power, and the galaxy watched. The first light of a distant sun stretched over the horizon of a small moon near Varnak space. A new day was beginning, but the galaxy felt different. The quiet before had gone. The stars seemed alive with tension and possibility. On the bridge of Unity 1, Commander Ryle stood watching the screens. The ship's sensors had detected unusual movement among Varnak fleets. They were no longer waiting. Something was shifting. "We have reports of increased patrols," said Lieutenant Sola, stepping forward. "They are preparing for possible conflict." Ryle nodded. "We expected this. Our mission remains the same. We show strength, but we do not strike first." The crew exchanged determined looks. They had trained for this moment, but no one could predict what would come next. Far below in Earth's capital city, President Allen faced her advisors. The Council's warnings had become sharper. Some members demanded Earth stand down or face sanctions. Others spoke of peace talks. Allen's voice was calm but firm. "We will not back down," she said. "The galaxy must understand one thing. Humanity will no longer be pushed aside or silenced. We seek peace, but we are ready for whatever comes." Her words carried weight. The world listened. Meanwhile, hidden in the shadows of an asteroid belt, Lyra and her team sent out the encrypted signals. They reached distant human colonies, isolated outposts, and quiet stations. The message was simple. We stand united. We remember. We protect. The responses came slowly at first, then faster. Old friends, forgotten allies, and new voices answered. On a small station near the edge of known space, Kyle and Mira received one such message. They gathered the crew and looked at each other. "This is the moment," Kale said. "The moment. We stop waiting." The galaxy was no longer a place where Earth's silence was accepted. It was a place where Earth's voice demanded respect. Back on Varnak territory, the Council's military commanders debated their next move. The strike on Geln 5 had shaken them. The glowing black box was a reminder that Earth could strike anywhere. Anytime, one general argued for retaliation. "We must show them our strength. If we wait, we lose." Another counseled caution. "War is not inevitable. They want us to fear. We must be wise." In the end, they chose to watch. But Earth's fleets did not wait. Over the next days, they moved quietly but with purpose. New ships joined the patrols. Advanced AI systems scanned every corner of space. The Black Directive was not just a defense, it was a declaration. In the quiet of space, whispers spread among pilots and officers. The old stories of human resilience and strength were true. Earth was no longer the silent planet. It was the hammer, waiting to fall. Commander Rael stood once more at the observation window of Unity 1. The stars were bright. The future was uncertain. But humanity was ready. He thought of the stories his grandfather had told him. Stories of courage, of standing up against impossible odds. "We will not be silent," he said softly. Behind him, the crew prepared for whatever came next. Because the galaxy was warned, and now humanity would not.